Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Kings Lynn and West Norfolk series based around Kings Lynn, Hunstanton and Downham Market. There's 101 of them in this one. Time to go walking. Welcome back to Kings Lynn and West Norfolk, everybody. Now, in the drive-in that you're about to see in this episode, keep your eyes to the left of the screen because there are two major landmarks which are not on this route that I've purposely put in today's drive-in so that they're not forgotten about. One is a pub, the other one is the Methodist Church. Keep your eyes on the left of the screen. I'm beginning this main walk here in a small garden which was created apparently in 2002, and I can prove that because on the floor down here there's a little mosaic which says Golden Jubilee 2002. This is both our start point and our end point in this one, and to begin with on this walk we're heading past this little playground across this playing field to get this one started. Welcome to Clenchwarton. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. We continue our progress deeper into Norfolk today as we hit the parish of Clenchwarton. This is located about 1¼ miles west of the River Great Ouse, close to the town of Kings Lynn. Clenchwarton's name is of Anglo-Saxon origin and derives from the Old English for hill dweller's farm or settlement. That's a name that might seem a little confusing at first, given that this is again another generally flat part of the country. However, it makes perfect sense when you consider that most of this area was once marshland, and Clenchwarton would have been one of the highest points for miles around. In the Domesday Book, Clenchwarton is recorded as an abandoned village with no population. It was likely abandoned as a result of the Norman reprisals in retaliation for the Ely Rebellion in 1070, led by Hereward the Wake. These days though, Clenchwarton is definitely not abandoned. In fact, it's another large village on the former route of the A17. Despite its size, it's not another Terrington St Clement. Clenchwarton only has a few basic amenities, including a shop, a church, a playing field and a school. There's a memorial hall too, which commemorates not just one, but 6 plane crashes. Unlike the last 2 episodes we've seen in this part of Norfolk, this one was tougher to find information for. There's very little documented, but I reckon I've got the main bits. Let's go walking and let's see what we can find. Our walk begins in the Clenchwarton Jubilee Garden. This was created in 2002 to mark the Golden Jubilee of Queen Elizabeth II. It's on the edge of the village playing field, known locally as Clenchwarton Park. It's a massive field which has a large playground, popular with the local children. There are multiple sports teams based in the village. These include Clenchwarton Football Club, whose first 11 compete in the North West Norfolk Saturday League. Now, I was attempting here to exit the field at the side of this bus stop, not realising that between the two there's actually a small stream. No matter, I eventually found a way out, and next up we have an outreach surgery. Directly opposite this you'll find a small pond, which is next to the village sign. The Methodist Church I mentioned at the beginning is beyond this area, and so too is a pub called the Partridge. Since April this year though, that's been permanently closed. So a very sporty start to proceedings here in Clenchwarton. Let's see what this has got other amenities wise. On this road here you can find a chippy. A village will always be a winner with me if you've got somewhere that serves fish and chips. That's Cooper's Place. Let's continue. On Black Horse Road is Clenchwarton Memorial Hall. It commemorates the crews of 6 aircraft which crashed at locations around the parish. Here's the tablet on the wall which tells you about them. All 6 crashes took place during World War II, between 1941 and 1945. By the way, Black Horse Road gets its name thanks to a former pub. The Black Horse was situated on the road's junction with Main Road, and it dated back to at least 1794. It was demolished in 2007 and housing was built on its site. We're now on Church Road and we're making for the main religious building in this place. This area is one of the oldest in Clenchwarton. The village would have grown mainly around the old A17, but you can always tell an older area by the lack of footpaths. Once upon a time, this is likely to have been a back lane, which of course has now been developed. And it looks nice too. Alright, we've reached the church and there's a board outside this one that says it's open from 10 AM until 4 PM. Well, we've got about an hour then because it's about 3 o'clock at the moment, so it should still be open in theory. Let's walk up the drive, check it all out and see what this one can tell us about life here in Clenchwarton. Just before we take a look at the church itself, in front of it there's a fragment of a cross shaft dating from the 14th century. It's Grade 2 listed. The church is Norman and it's dedicated to St Margaret of Scotland. It's got some cracking features. For starters, check out the sundial over its porch door. The building was significantly remodelled in the 14th, 15th and 19th centuries, and in the same way as the cross shaft, it too is Grade 2 listed. It was open too, so let's go inside. One of the main features of the church is a stained glass window installed by Hardman & Co. in the 1920s. It depicts Mary Elizabeth Townsend, who was a British philanthropist and co-founder of the Girls Friendly Society, a charitable organisation that empowers young girls and women. It was established in 1875. Townsend, though, was Irish, so I'm a little baffled as to why a church in Norfolk would have such a memorial. So as well as the memorial we saw on the Memorial Hall, there's also another war memorial in here. Tablet on the wall. I think this is just for World War II, I think, because it just says 39 to 45. I can't see 1914, 1918 anywhere. So I think that's probably just for World War II. And there's another tablet next to this, which is in memory of Private Clifford James Gosling, the Royal Norfolk Regiment, Cyprus, 1956. So it's good to see some of the wars being remembered as well as the 2 World Wars. So yeah, that is the church here in Clenchwarton. It's much bigger than I thought it was. I've just noticed up there, I can't quite see what it says, but there's something above that cross. I can't read it. I don't know whether your eyes are better than mine if you zoom into the screen, but yeah, whatever that is, that's also an interesting feature. But yeah, that's the church here in Clenchwarton. Lovely little place. Let's carry on with the village and see what else this has got. This next area is residential, and it was a pleasant walk, only broken up by a horribly timed phone call from our Lauren. Lauren, can you just give me a minute, yeah? Small Holdings Road, Beverley Way and Rookery Road are all streets typical of an estate built in recent decades, and these bring us back to Main Road. On the other side of the road is Bates Drive, where you'll find Clenchwarton Nurseries, and also the Fenland Pet Stop and Farm Shop. Next is a Morrison's, which also doubles as the post office. Fun fact for you, the post office used to be located in the unit you can see on the extreme left of the building, now called Unity. Next to the shop is a parish notice board, and that's now 3 down in Kings Lynn and West Norfolk. Only 98 to go, folks. Over the road is Clenchwarton Primary School, which is part of the West Norfolk Academies Trust. This was given a good rating by Ofsted in 2017. So yes, I caught that completely wrong. I managed to catch the school at school kicking out time, which meant I couldn't get a really good shot of the school building itself. Bit disappointing, but I can't really have the camera trained on the school when there's a load of kids around, as I'm sure you can understand. That was the best I could do. Okay, we are officially back to the garden where we began this video. Now this was meant to be a bit of a longer walk because I was meant to take a few more strides up there to the northern part of the village. It's generally residential, however, so I don't feel too bad about cutting it off. However, to be honest with you, I've still got you covered because I can drive up there in the car. Now, the reason I'm not walking it is because I spent so long in Terrington St Clement, longer than I thought. I've kind of run out of time to walk that, or we will drive around it. And the reason I've run out of time is because I need to be somewhere pretty quickly, because at the end of this video I'll be doing something very special, which you may already know about if you've been a long time follower. If not, well, you'll see at the end of this episode. So let's go for a drive around those residential areas first, and then I'll take you to what this is. This is Hall Road, and it has a recent story to tell. In 2017, planning permission was granted to build a brand new pavilion on this road, which would serve as a changing rooms for the village's football teams. The idea behind it was to replace the existing facilities on Clenchwarton Park. However, funding for its construction has for the last few years been an issue. One suggestion that was put forward was to sell the Memorial Hall, but this was met with fierce opposition by many locals. It seems to be an issue that's still not yet resolved either. There's more about it on the Parish Council's website, which I've linked below. The rest of this northern part of the village is, as I suspected, pretty much residential. This is Clapper Lane. One of the streets off this is Robin Kirkham Way. The Kirkham family farmed much of the area around the village, and as we briefly mentioned in Terrington St Clement, there is or was a Kirkham charity too. The last part of this drive takes us along Ferry Road towards West Lynn. West Lynn is not in the parish. The boundary runs between the two villages, and West Lynn is in an unparished area. However, many people from Clenchwarton will be familiar with West Lynn thanks to its proximity to the River Great Ouse. From West Lynn you can catch a river ferry, which operates every day and takes you directly into Kings Lynn town centre. This is its car park. So if you live on this side of the River Great Ouse, you don't need necessarily to get a bus if you just want to head into Kings Lynn. You can use a ferry, and this is a very unique park and ride, because obviously here is your park, a free car park for ferry customers, and your ride, of course, is the ferry. And of course this is in West Lynn, as I was explaining. This isn't actually in Clenchwarton, but it's the nearest place to Clenchwarton, of course, to access the river. Ideal place to have a ferry, isn't it? So I'm going to try this ferry out. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you will have already seen this video. It's linked in the description. It'll be linked in the end screen as well if you haven't already seen it. But this is where I'm going to end the parish of Clenchwarton. And if you want to see me take on this ferry across to Kings Lynn, then you'll just have to go and watch that video, won't you? I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the parish of Clenchwarton, and I'm out.